So now I've got an interesting interview for you guys. Justin Krebs, he's one of the founders of Drinking Liberally and Living Liberally. I'm fond of both of those things. And he's also the author of the new book, 538 Ways to Live, Work, and Play Like a Liberal. Huh, interesting. Justin, welcome to the Young Turks.
Hey there, how are you doing tonight?
Good, good. So talk to me. How do I live, work, and play like a liberal?
Well, you know, the idea behind drinking liberally, not just the activity, but the happy hour that exists around the country, is that our political life and our social life can and should be tied together. And as Drinking Liberally is spread to 300 chapters around the country, we realize that there are a lot of ways you can bring your progressive politics into your everyday life. And the book, 538 Ways to Live, Work, and Play Like a Liberal, suggests that those progressive values of inclusion, diversity, sustainability, understanding common resources and common goals, you can reflect in the way you work with your colleagues and interact with your family, your neighbors, and that it's something that you can really be doing on an everyday basis.
Justin, is it literally 538 ways?
There are literally 538 ways in the book, though I'm sure any one of your listeners could tell me a 539th way that isn't included. The book's not meant to be exhaustive, though it's a little bit exhausting, but there are 538 in it.
All right. So now I saw in part of the book that you're encouraging people to date other libs, right? Is that the right way to go? Shouldn't we be more open-minded as a lib and date everybody from across the political spectrum?
You know, I'm convinced that if a good liberal dates anybody, we'll eventually bring them over to the left. So it's totally fine. Date whoever you want, because I think that the power of seduction of both of our ideas and our personalities will bring them over. In the book, there is a contribution about loving liberally that's actually written by one of the Laughing Liberally comedians named Katie Halper, in which she surveys all of the liberal dating sites that are out there and you know, tells us what she found, which ones she's found hits on and which ones are not so hot.
Oh, okay. Well, that ought to be a good guide. So, Justin, how about you personally? Have you ever dated I was going to say Tea Party person, but come on, that's way too recent, and I know there's no way. But have you ever dated a conservative?
You know, I have to say, I've never dated a conservative. I mean, I might have dated people more conservative than me, but they've certainly not been, you know, card-carrying Tea Partiers or active Republican voters. We did, though, throw a party a couple of years ago, Drinking Liberally did, during the Republican convention in New York, called Sleeping with the Enemy. We teamed up with the Young Republicans. You can have your drinks in a blue glass or a red glass to identify your allegiance. And everyone had a pretty good time. And I'm convinced that if any hookups happened out of that night, it's bringing them further over to the left, because we're just the sexier side to be on.
I thought for sure you were going to say, I'm convinced that it was the libs who put the pounding on the cons. Yeah, all right, but that's me getting carried away. So, all right, now how do I play like a lib? Do I skip and dance and hop?
You definitely can skip and dance and hop as long as you're skipping and dancing and hopping with others. A lot of the book is about ways of thinking about doing things in a communal way, how to engage your neighborhood and engage those around you, because I think that when you do things together, when you have common experiences and common goals, that's really the way of being a liberal. So a lot of the ways to play are that way. But there's also, in the playing liberally section, there's a lot on entertainment, on, you know, radio shows you can listen liberally to, on comedy acts and movies that any good liberal should have, you know, queued up on their Netflix queue. You know, the one that I was thinking about today, just because financial reform just passed the Senate, is one of the movies we recommend. It's number 217 in the book, and it's A Wonderful Life. It's one of the greatest liberal metaphor movies ever told, one of the greatest liberal allegories, and it resonates now in the current banking crisis as well as it did when it was first produced.
But Justin, are there any like conservative, like for example, like children's books or fables or stories, where in the end everybody laughs at the other ones and goes, "Ha ha! Good luck on your own, buddy."
You know, there are some. I mean, there's certainly conservative movies that have those themes. There are movies where at the end of the day you're like, oh, we're all better off if we had just stayed with our own. Why did we ever try to interact with those creatures, Muppets, cartoons that aren't like us? I shouldn't say Muppets. The Muppets actually always have liberal themes. So you do see that in movies a lot. There's some children's books that have those stories. And then, of course, there's the Tea Party's favorite bedtime reading, which is Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, which is exactly the embodiment of what a conservative bedtime story is all about. We're out here for ourselves and for nobody else.
Do you think that's the essence of liberalism, that we are, a community and that we're all better? Basically, to sum it up in a cute phrase, it takes a village?
I think that works. Although the woman who used that phrase for her own book, Hillary Clinton, doesn't call herself a liberal these days because the word has been so demonized. But yeah, I do think that's the heart of liberalism. In writing a book about 538 ways, I acknowledge in the very intro that the cowardly of me to not try to define liberal. And so as silly as a project as that is, because if you got 10 liberals in a room, you'll probably have 14 different views of what the word means, I give it a try. And my one-sentence definition: liberals believe that we're better off when we live for each other than when we live only for ourselves. That's it. Our politics, our culture, our society flow from that.
Right. And do you think there's any distinction between liberals and progressives, or do you use that interchangeably?
I use them interchangeably, and I happen to like both words. But I feel like we embrace the word progressive because the word liberal was stolen from us, and I don't like language being stolen, so I'm trying to steal it back. The other is that the phrase "drinking liberally" is just a really funny phrase, and that's largely the success of our organization, is that it has a clever wordplay in it. Not that drinking progressively wouldn't be a good idea, and in fact, in other countries that have started drinking liberally chapters, like England and New Zealand, where liberal isn't actually the left, it's more of a centrist part of their politics, they don't call themselves drinking liberally, they call themselves progressively pissed.
That's awesome. Now, if we listen to Glenn Beck, would be drinking Maoist? But that doesn't have quite a ring to it, does it?
I don't think drinking Maoist actually sounds so fun. Maybe drinking socially would be sort of like drinking like a socialist. But I actually don't think that communist drinking would be very fun. The communists didn't have a whole lot of fun about things. And that's one of the things that's also important about being a liberal in America. While we are on the left, we have these progressive values, these communitarian values. We also have a real sense of joy and fun and optimism and opportunity. And I hope that resonates through the book. It certainly resonates through the chapters of Drinking Liberally that I've met while I've been touring the country.
I want to talk about the book just a little bit more in a second, but where can people find out more about Drinking Liberally?
Oh, sure. You can go to livingliberally.org or drinkingliberally.org. Living Liberally includes not just the Drinking Liberally happy hours, but eating liberally meals, screening liberally films, etc.
I can still eat steak, right? I mean, and bacon, even though I'm a
you absolutely can, and I do say that one of the ways to live like a liberal is eat less meat, but I also don't pretend that I do all 538 of this book, and I am definitely a meat-eating liberal.
Has anyone passed out in any of the Drinking Liberal things you went to, like passing out, gone?
Passed out from the drinking?
Yeah.
No, while they drink liberally, they tend to drink responsibly as well. And in fact, you some of these Drinking Liberally chapters you go to, you have people who don't drink alcohol at all, but they like the social community of it. They like the environment that's created in the bar, and so you'll see people drinking water, orange juice, Sprite.
I got you. Justin, I see you. You're using code words. Orange juice means pot, right?
It's all code words. All code words.
All right. One more thing about the book, and the book is, by the way, called 538 Ways to Live, Work, and Play Like a Liberal. And we're talking to Justin Krebs, who wrote it. Conservatives always paint business as conservative, right? But that's not necessarily the case, right? There are a lot of liberal businesses. Tell me a little bit about that, and then tell me, if you can, I know I love absurd questions, but here comes one. What is the biggest lib business in all of America? Go.
Whoa, I'll tell you some liberal businesses. There are big ones like Credo Mobile. It's a telephone company that you can get your mobile service through, or your long-distance service, and they donate a portion of their proceeds to progressive nonprofit causes, whereas Verizon and AT&T use their proceeds to lobby against the interests of their own consumers. So I think that's a great example of a business that is still very much a commercial entity, but is doing something fundamentally different with their business. I mean, other liberal businesses can often exist on a local level. And, not every business considers itself liberal. I happen to think that there's something liberal about shopping at your local mom-and-pop store if you have that opportunity, rather than at the local Walmart. Now, are mom-and-pop necessarily ACLU card-carrying members? Probably not. But when you shop at that store, it gets reinvested back in the community. It does show a sense of people looking out after each other, connecting with each other, and even if they're not politically liberal, there's a cultural value there that the book supports.
All right.
As for the biggest liberal business in America, wow, it's a hard one. I'll take an easy out. I'll say maybe Sesame Street Children's Television Workshop. I realize there's a nonprofit, but they're certainly well-known, beloved, have affected all of our lives, and I can't think of anything more liberal than the lifestyle espoused by Big Bird, Oscar the Grouch, Ernie Burt, and the rest of them.
Well, maybe that's why the conservatives are always angry at them. They're always telling people to get along and stuff. That's no good.
And they dare to teach, their viewers how to speak words in Spanish and such.
Oh, wow, that is quite lib.
I'm surprised that Sesame Street isn't on Glenn Beck's chalkboard right next to you guys just yet.
In fact, I believe that one day the Young Turks will be the largest lib business in the country.
I hope so. I hope so.
All right. Justin Krebs, author of 538 Ways to Live, Work, and Play Like a Liberal. Thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. Will I see you in Las Vegas at Netroots Nation?
Nah, I can't make it out this year. Normally, Justin and I do drink a little liberally at these conventions, but I'm going to miss this one.
Well, we will listen liberally while you're out there, while we're out there.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Justin. Take care.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.